You have to hear this to believe it. I cannot make this stuff up. The governor of Oklahoma has requested and called for the resignation of two sheriffs from Oklahoma who have been recorded talking about killing reporters complaining that they can no longer lynch black people. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. The governor of Oklahoma has called for the resignations of the sheriff and other top officials in a rural county after they were recorded talking about beating, killing, and burying a father and son team of local reporters and lamenting that they could no longer hang black people with a damned rope. Governor Kevin Stitt called for McCurtain County Sheriff Kevin Clardy, County Commissioner Mark Jennings, Sheriff's Investigator Alicia Manning, and Jail Administrator Larry Hendricks to step down after the McCurtain County Gazette News published an article over the weekend about what was captured on the recording. I am both appalled and disheartened to hear of the horrid comments made by officials in McCurtain County, Stitt said in a statement released Sunday. There is simply no place for such hateful rhetoric in the state of Oklahoma, especially by those that serve to represent the community through their respective office. Let me insert this here. In 1921, it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's known as the Oklahoma Massacre. Look it up for yourself. Black Wall Street was destroyed and burned to the ground. Many were killed after someone simply said that a young black youth had raped a white girl. Think about that. It was a lie. It never happened. So the governor in Oklahoma is making sure that things are above board. Do your research. Do the history for yourself. Now back to the article. Stitt, a Republican, said he has ordered the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation to initiate an investigation to determine whether any illegal conduct has occurred. Bruce Willingham, who works for his family-owned newspaper, has turned the full audio over to the FBI and the Oklahoma Attorney General's office, his lawyer said. Meanwhile, dozens of county residents, angered by the officials' comments, picketed Monday outside the headquarters of the McCurtain County Commissioners in the town of Adabel, which is about 200 miles southwest of Oklahoma City, the local NBC affiliate reported. None of the four sibling officials named by Stitt could be reached for comment. Of course not, cowards. The Willinghams also did not respond to inquiries from NBC News, but Kilpatrick Townsend, the law firm representing the Willingham family, said they appreciated the expressions of support. For nearly a year, they have suffered intimidation, ridicule, and harassment based solely on their efforts to report the news for McCurtain County, the statement said. The latest furor erupted after Willingham, acting on a tip that the commissioners were illegally engaging in county business after the public meetings were over, left the recording device on March 6 in the commissioner's chamber, the newspaper reported. Earlier that day, Willingham's son, Christopher Lee Willingham, who is also a reporter at the newspaper, had filed a lawsuit against Clardy, Manning, and the commissioners in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Oklahoma, seeking unspecified damages. He claimed they were punishing him for his hard-hitting reporting by spreading slander about him. When Willingham retrieved the device, he discovered that the conversation began with a grisly conversation about a fire victim being compared to barbecue before the group turned to talking about his son. My pawpaw would have whipped his ass, would have whipped him and used him for toilet paper, Manning said of the younger Willingham, according to the newspaper. If my daddy hadn't been run over by a vehicle, he would have been down there. Jennings then piped in, saying, I know where two big deep holes are if you ever need them. I've got an excavator, Clardy chimed in, according to the newspaper. Jennings, according to the newspaper, then said he knew two or three hitmen who belonged to the Louisiana Mafia. They're very quiet guys and would cut no blanking mercy, he reportedly said. Manning, according to the newspaper, discussed who would get the blame if anything was done to Christopher Lee Willingham's wife, Angie. There was also caustic criticism of local district attorney Mark Mayloft. The newspaper reported in the first batch of recordings it released. Mayloft is not commenting on the report, a member of his staff said at McClellan County Courthouse. Some of the discussions included not only harsh criticisms of judges, but also the possibility of assaults on judges here, the newspaper reported. When the talk turned into who might run for sheriff against Clardy, Jennings recalled how a former sheriff would take a damned black guy and whip their ass and throw them in the cell. Yes, I'm reading it just as it has been written. Yeah, Clardy replied, according to the newspaper. It's not like that no more. I know, said Jennings. Take them down to Mud Creek and hang them up with that damned rope. But you can't do that anymore. They've got more rights than we've got. Two more batches of recordings made by Willingham are to be released soon, his lawyer said. The Willingham family has lived in the county for 120 years and has operated the McCurtain County Gazette News for 40 years. Founded in 1905, it is a print-only publication, a rarity in the rapidly diminishing world of newspapers, and this is not the first time it has made national news. In the wake of the 1995 bombing of the federal building in Oklahoma City, Willingham hired a freelancer named J.D. Cash, who produced a number of scoops about the investigation into the deadly terror attack and who was later derided as a conspiracy theorist by some of the newspaper competitors. Cash died in 2007. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender. Never quit.